the Democratic Party right now is, I think, going through a kind of experiment. Like, who can actually respond, particularly to young people's very real concerns about where they are at this point in their lives and what kind of future do they have for themselves. And I think that's healthy.
Wow, Hillary just made a major confession. For the first time in a long time, Democrats are experimenting with the idea of responding to their voters.
Let's talk about the new game the Democrat Party has started. And they traipsed out Old Faithful. Now, I thought it was Tom Petty back on tour, but he's passed away a few years ago, and I'm sorry, Tom, of thinking of you whenever I saw Hillary Clinton come out on stage. That's the first thing I thought of. But Hillary's back. And she's back just in time to affect the midterms, affect the midterm elections coming up in here in November. She was back on stage and she said a couple of things that I believe should scare you because it scared me. What we're seeing across the country right now is a wave of stupidity. I believe it's a wave of psychosis. I believe what we're seeing is a way to lure young people into the Democrat Party. And Hillary said it was healthy.
The Democratic Party right now is, I think, going through a kind of experiment. Like, who can actually respond, particularly to young people's very real concerns about where they are at this point in their lives and what kind of future do they have for themselves. And I think that's healthy.
A little dose of Democrat socialism is healthy for growing the Democrat Party. I'm going to say, Hillary, I don't think you or anyone around you has ever been able to use the term healthy because of maybe some of those mishaps that have occurred too often around the Clinton family. Now, the thing that worries me and should worry some of you is how she went about this. They have traipsed her out. They have flaunted her out. They have paid her. They've wheeled her out there to go and normalize socialism. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing normal about socialism. I can't think of any countries that socialism has really worked in. I can't think of any countries that are thriving under socialism. But what they're doing here is they're trying to normalize it. They know the name Hillary Clinton carries a lot of weight, typically lead shoes and cement blocks. But you know what I mean here. But I just had to come out and get this off my chest before I go to work for someone else. And that's exactly what socialism leads to, is you working for someone else. You paying taxes so somebody else can stay at home and reap the benefits that you are working for. And I can't believe the Democrat Party is embracing this. But they know they're being left behind because there's a vast majority of America that is waking up. But there's this other group, this young group, that they just want free things. And I believe that's what the Democrat Party is trying to do. They're trying to lure young people in with free things. That almost sounds like a trap, doesn't it? We're going to lure you in, we're going to offer you something, and then we're not going to give it to you. It's called the bait and switch. But the Democrat Party really believes that they can provide everything for everyone. And I say they, I mean you. I'm having a little smoke on the pipe this morning. Got some Frog Morton on the bayou. It's great. This is McClellan tobacco, a little bit of Perique, a little bit of Latakia, a little bit of Burley. It's a great, great can of tobacco here. Frog Morton on the Bayou. It just makes you think you're sitting along the swamp with a cane pole in the water. That's what that smells like. It's what kind of brings it back. And I think sometimes we need to just sit back and look at the broader picture. Look at the cards that are being put out on the table. The Democrat Party has a really good way of telling you what they're going to do.
And what do you think our founders would think about the current state of affairs? That's question one.
Yeah, look, I think they'd be appalled. I think they would be worried because so many of them express their concerns about how best to construct a government that would avoid a return to a king or even a demagogue.
But more often than not, we don't take the time to actually listen to them telling us what they're going to do. They're not very sneaky. They're so blatantly obvious. It's like hiding in plain sight that the Democrat Party is going to promise all of this free stuff. They're not going to deliver. But then they're going to blame Trump for, not allowing the free stuff that they promised. It's been working for years. I would say go back to the 1950s or the 60s when Lyndon B. Johnson and that whole civil rights movement, and the civil rights movement needed to happen. But the Democrat Party realized right then that if you can control the messaging on race, gender, sexuality, all these things, if you can control the messaging, that's the battlefield. The actual out here in the country, this isn't the battlefield. The battlefield is that TV. The battlefield is the internet. The battlefield is social media and social media influencers. That's the battlefield. And the Democrats, right now, I believe, are a couple of moves ahead on the battlefield. Now, I'm not saying that Trump doesn't have some plans. I'm not saying that X is not part of that battlefield, because it is. But the massive amount of push that liberal influencers get compared to conservative influencers tells me the battlefield is not fair. The battlefield is weighted, and it's weighted for them. Because could you imagine if the President of the United States came out on stage and said, a little bit of nationalism would be healthy for the Republican Party? I believe it would. But Hillary just came out and said socialism, a little bit of it, is healthy for the Democrat Party because it lures young people in with the offering of free things. This is a Democrat Party experiment that's been going on for a while, and it's working. Or they wouldn't keep doing it. And I think Republicans better wise up fast. Because one of the power pieces on the chessboard, on the battlefield, was taken. Like taking a rook, or taking a knight, or taking a bishop, or taking the queen. And I believe in the battlefield, the Democrat Party took one of the most powerful pieces we had, Charlie Kirk. And now they're just whittling away with those other chess pieces. They're taking out Turning Point USA. They're silencing this person. They're silencing that person. They're deplatforming this one. They're deplatforming that one. That's the Democrat game plan right there. We can't beat you. We'll silence you. I mean, this platform right here is a good platform as long as you play by their rules. Now, I try to play by the rules. I don't get on here and I don't start shouting all the stuff about schools like Alex Jones. I don't get on here spewing a bunch of password colors and all this other stuff. I play by the rules. But I think it's time for the Republican Party to maybe start stretching the rules. Republicans better start playing dirty. That's what I mean. You better get after this. You don't get a second chance at the midterm elections. Democrats are hungry. They're going to turn out in droves. They're going to turn out like a bunch of buzzards on some fresh roadkill, fresh meat. That's what they want. You damn sure better be ready. You better not sit back and wait for President Trump to do all the work for you. We missed the opportunity for the SAVE Act. The president said that there's some other things in place to encourage the integrity of our election. They're going after mail-in ballots. That got approval by the Supreme Court. So they're putting other avenues in place. But I think the Republican Party has wasted the better part of 2 years not preparing for this midterm election. And I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Except that when Democrats are in charge, it's easier for Republicans to fundraise. Same thing holds true when a Republican is in the White House. It's easier for CNN, MSNBC, these liberal stations, to get advertisers, to motivate, to build coalitions around the hatred for the president. It's the only thing I can think of. I mean, Fox's ratings go up when there's a Democrat story, when there's a Democrat in office. That, you know how they were. They were just going after Biden relentlessly. And now they've got President Trump in, but they still go after him relentlessly. So this is an odd timeline. But there's no coincidences. And bringing out Hillary Clinton the way that they did to normalize socialism, to call it a healthy experiment. Her words, not mine. You think that was by accident? Do you think that was an accident? I don't know who's pulling the strings for the Democrat Party. I don't know who the puppet master is for the Democrat Party. But man, they're getting pretty good. They are getting pretty well timed on their actions, aren't they? They're starting to gain some momentum. They're coalescing around the Iran war. They're coalescing around ICE. They're coalescing around Pete Hegseth. They're coalescing around, the USS Abraham Lincoln having bad food and living conditions. Go check out that video. There's a guy by the name of John Kiriakou, former CIA guy, came out with a bunch of propaganda, and I debunked it in a previous video. I'll put it over here. You can watch that. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. We're sitting in the backyard, zoomed out, having a little bit of Frog Morton on a Wednesday morning. trying to understand what is happening in this country. What is happening that we can do something about. You better have a hard talk with some of your kids, friends, family's kids. Socialism ain't free. You can vote your way in, but you've got to fight your way out of it. I don't know what's going to happen next. I really don't. But I'm not going down with this ship. I'm not letting this ship go down. We are not losing our country to socialism. Not while I'm around here. I'll see you in the next one. Hit that like and subscribe button. Take care.